Hi Jennifer, it's so good to see you again. Thank you for coming in today. How have you been feeling since the last time we met?
I don't know. Not very good. I'm feeling pretty depressed today.
Oh, okay. Have you felt this way all week, or is it just today that you're feeling depressed?
The whole week.
Hmm. Okay. Is it alright if I put those depressed feelings on the agenda for today so we can discuss further later?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of set the structure for today. So is there anything that you would want to talk about today? Anything on your mind at all that you want to discuss?
Well, I'm getting really stressed out at work because no one does what they're supposed to. I'm the only one who does anything around there, and it's just making me really angry. My family is about to come up for the holidays, so I'm getting a great deal of anxiety from that. You know, it's supposed to be a happy time during Christmas with your family that you haven't seen in a while. But with it, it just comes so much drama and problems that don't need to be created. Then I keep applying to the police academy in a whole bunch of different areas, and I either hear nothing back or get a letter in the mail stating that I wasn't chosen.
Okay. Well, it seems as if you're being pulled in a lot of different directions here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, so now all of those things are important to you and seem to be bothering you, like the stress at work, family issues, and your hope to become a police officer. And we'll definitely discuss all of these points during your time here within all of these sessions. Um, I know it's difficult to prioritize these concerns as the most important because they're all important. I just want to prioritize our session today to hopefully make it go a little smoother for us. So, if you had to choose maybe one of the points that you mentioned before that you really want to discuss with me today, what do you think that would be?
I don't know. It's hard to choose just one.
Okay, well, tell me about your thought processes as you think about that question.
Well, work is important and I need my job to pay bills, but my family is also important and I really want their visit to be special for everybody. But being rejected from so many academies just makes me feel hopeless and worthless. I really don't want to feel that way.
Okay, so it's really between those three goals that are really important because they are important and they matter to you. And it's kind of hard to rank them because that's what we're typically doing here is ranking them in order of importance. So which area do you think is interfering with your functioning? So like what's getting in the way of your mood being good or getting in the way of you accomplishing the goals that you need to accomplish?
Well, I think I really want to talk about applying to the police academy. I just know that if they give me a chance to prove myself, that they would really like me. And if I became a police officer, I know my depression would get better. Feeling worthless is difficult when trying to live day by day. And I think those thoughts and feelings may be affecting each other in other aspects of my life.
Okay. Well, and that's a good topic to talk about. So we'll definitely make that priority number one for today and discuss that further later on in the session. So right now, I just want to go over the structure of the session for today, so we can go over everything that needs to be talked about and accomplish some of the goals that we have set. So first, we'll complete the depression inventory that you have been doing at the beginning of every session. We'll discuss how your week has gone, review the homework that you did for today. We'll talk more about how you're feeling on the police academy issue, um, and the thoughts and feelings and behaviors surrounding that. And then we'll finish up by working on a few different techniques. I'll assign another homework assignment, much like the one you did for today's session, and we'll end there. So, does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so here's the depression inventory. If you want to go ahead and complete that.
Might actually do that.
So I'm gonna score this for you. Okay. So it seems as if you got a score of 22 this week, and last week's score was a 24. So that is two spots that you increased. So what do you think contributed to this new score? Is there anything that you can think of that happened or something that you did that might have helped this score?
That's surprising for how bad I felt earlier this week. But I might think it might be because I was feeling a little more hopeful, like thinking maybe therapy would help.
Oh, okay. So you've had thoughts that therapy might help, which has led you to feel more hopeful?
Yeah, and I also sent another application to the police academy, which makes me feel hopeful too. But then I just feel depressed again because I know I'm not good enough to get accepted.
Okay, so you're feeling hopeful when you send another application, but then you feel you're not good enough and then become depressed. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding you correctly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, so now how did you feel at the beginning of the week before you received the letter?
I was feeling really good. I mean, I had my moments, but for the most part, I was feeling okay.
Well, that's really good to hear. Were you able to journal these moments where you weren't feeling as great as the other days? This was for your homework assignment?
Yeah, I tried my best to write down every moment, but it was a little difficult to catch up on every moment.
Well, that's still good that you were able to at least catch a few moments. That's great that you were able to acknowledge that you were feeling down and remember to jot down those thoughts and feelings associated with those moments.
Yeah, I guess that is a positive. I never really looked at it like that. I'm becoming more aware of my thoughts and emotions.
Yes, you are, and that's an important step. Great job.
Thank you. Knowing I did something right and becoming more aware of those things doesn't make me feel as depressed as I had been the first time I walked in. It makes me feel like I actually did something right.
Well, yeah, you did. Once you become more aware of these thoughts, you'll be able to recognize them more frequently and it will be easier to help change them. So, you did the homework assignment, and that's great. What did you find to be the most challenging part of that homework?
The most challenging part was I missed a lot of moments that I could have written down, but I think that was because at the time I really couldn't put those moments into words, what I was thinking or feeling at the time. Or some of the moments I just wasn't aware of my thoughts when I was not feeling the best. So even though I had a few successes, I also had a few failed attempts.
And that's alright. It will take a few trial and errors to succeed at this process, but what is important is that you did have some successes, and you were aware of yourself during those achievements. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about your week and these depressed feelings that you've been having?
Well, I got another letter this week from the police academy that I applied to. It said that I wasn't accepted. No one was home, it was just me, and before I even opened it, I had a bad feeling.
Well, what kind of feeling did you have?
I was anxious and got a stomach ache.
And this was before you opened it?
Yeah,
Okay, and after you opened it, what were your feelings then?
I just got quiet and really upset. The stomach ache was still there, but it was worse.
And what were you thinking at this time?
That I'm never going to be good enough. I wondered why even bother because I will never become a police officer.
So you had the thought that I'm never going to be good enough, and you wonder why you should keep trying because you feel as if you're never going to become a police officer?
Right.
Okay, and I can tell that this really upsets you because your whole mood and body language has shifted.
Yeah.
So what did you do after you opened the letter?
I went up to my room and started drinking.
Okay, and is drinking what you usually do when you start feeling upset?
Yeah,
And does this usually help?
it helps for a moment. It allows me to not think about why I'm upset for just a moment.
Okay, and how much does it take for it to start helping?
I only have a few drinks. I know it's not a good coping strategy, but it helps me.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're aware that it's not a good coping strategy. Would you think about trying a different one if I were gonna help you come up with a few different strategies?
I guess I could try.
Okay. Well, then we'll definitely work together to come up with a few different coping strategies. But first, I want to work on something that focuses more on your thoughts during this event of the receiving the rejected letter. So, do you want to work on it with me? I think it will really give us a grasp of your thoughts and help us look at them in different ways. It's called a thought record, and I think this will be extremely helpful for us. So, do you want to give it a try?
Yeah, that seems good.
Okay. And once we finish this, we can work on discovering some more of those coping strategies. Um, so, this thought record has 7 columns that we will fill out together. Okay. So the first column is the situation or event that has occurred that has caused some negative thinking. So in this situation, you were home alone when you received a letter from the police academy telling that you weren't accepted, and you thought, I'll never be good enough. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then we can put that in the first column listed under the situation or trigger. Okay. So what were you feeling after you opened that letter?
Frustrated and angry and just really, really upset.
Okay. So we're going to put those under emotions. Okay. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely frustrated and 1 being a little frustrated, how would you rate your frustration in that moment after opening that letter and, taking in what it said?
Probably about a 9. I was pretty frustrated.
Okay. So we're going to write that down, right next to the frustrated. And how would you rate your anger on the same scale?
Not quite as much. Maybe about a 6.
Okay. And the same for your sadness. So how upset were you in that moment?
8.
Okay. All right, good. So now what were your thoughts that you had when you received this letter?
I thought that I wasn't good enough.
Okay. Any
I
more?
thought that I just did nothing but let my family down.
Okay.
And that I'm a disgrace to my family and my friends. I kept thinking about how disappointed I was in myself.
Okay.
Saying I went to school for 4 years just to get rejected at a job I'd like.
Yeah, I can see where that gets a little tough.
All I can think of was I'm such a failure, and why even try anymore because I'm just going to get rejected again.
Okay. So you had a lot of thoughts going on during this moment, right? So let's focus on one thought that you had, and then we can work on that one thought together. So what do you think out of all of these is the most important that you think we should discuss further?
It's tough, but probably that I'm not good enough.
Okay. So we'll list this as the hot thought that you had. Okay. So in this next column, it's listed as the facts that support this unhelpful thought. So what facts do we have that says that you are not good enough is true?
Well, my dad left us when I was about 13 and moved away.
Okay. So you feel you're not good enough and that's why he left.
I feel like it was my fault, yeah.
Okay.
My mom always asks why I can't be more like my sister. And I haven't been in a relationship since before I graduated college.
Okay. So now that we wrote those down, okay, so the next column is the facts that provide evidence against this unhelpful thought. So what facts do we have that the thought of you not being good enough is not true?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, what about school? So you graduated, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess. I also made the dean's list 5 times.
Yeah, and that's great. That means that you were keeping up your grades. That's excellent. So we'll write these two down. That you graduated. That's a huge one. And then you also made the dean's list 5 times. Okay. Can you think of any more?
I take my nephew out to different places a couple times a week.
And that's a great one. So I bet he really loves spending time with you.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, so you spend time with your nephew. Okay. So anything else? What about your work? Can you tell me about your job?
Well, my boss often tells me I'm doing a great job.
That's great. See, that tells you that you're appreciated at what you're doing. So we'll write that down. That um, your boss tells you you're doing a great job. Okay, so those are all really great. So do you think that there may be some other ways of seeing this thought that you had?
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you think?
Even though I didn't get accepted to the academy, there are still other ones out there. And just because my parents aren't very supportive, I still have my friends and my brother's family that support me.
Great. Those are really good ones. So we'll write those down in this column that's labeled the alternative, more realistic, and balanced perspective. So we'll put that there, that, even though you didn't get accepted, there are still other academies out there. And your brother's family that's supportive.
Yes.
So we'll write that. Okay. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your belief on these points? So how much do you believe in these points that you've just given me?
I would say the first one is a 9, and the second is a definite 10.
Okay. Good. So lastly, how would you rate the moods that you expressed in column 2 earlier? And have any new moods emerged?
I would say that my frustration is probably around a 4 now.
Okay.
Anger is probably only 1. My sadness dropped down to a 3.
Okay.
But I also feel hopeful, and I would say that's a 6.
Okay. So do you see how with just a little reevaluation we were able to turn your negative thoughts into more realistic thoughts?
Yeah, it was actually quite simple.
Yeah. And so we were even able to get your mood to change. So do you feel a little bit better now after doing this thought record?
Yes, I kind of realized that even though I'm upset about not getting accepted, I was too hard on myself. I am still frustrated, but I still keep going and keep applying because I know I'll make a good police officer someday.
Yeah, and that's wonderful to hear. So for homework, I want you to use the same thought record that we just did, and I want you to track some of your thoughts down throughout this week. And you only need to use one thought. If you want to use more, you go ahead. But make sure that you really think about it and complete every column. And it should be easier for you since we just did it together. So does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, good. But don't feel pressured to complete it if you are unsure or having, difficulties completing it. So just do the best that you can and we'll discuss it next week.
Okay.
Alright, so now I want to discuss your coping behaviors. So is drinking the only thing that you do when you get depressed feelings?
I mean, I try to sleep, but I usually just end up laying there because I can't sleep. So I guess you could say that is the only thing.
Okay. Well, let's try to think of some healthier, things that we could do. So can you think of anything that might be healthier to try instead of drinking?
I mean, I could try exercising. I used to exercise a lot more when I was in college because I played for softball for the school.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a great idea. Even going for a run or a walk a few times a week can really help. Research shows that exercise often helps people become less depressed. So maybe you can take your Nutreo out, like you mentioned earlier. You can take a walk or do something that requires some exercise. So what do you think about, taking a walk or a run maybe a few times a week?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And then you also mentioned that you played softball, so do you know if there are any leagues in the area that you could join? Does that seem like something that would be a good coping exercise for you?
I actually tried that when I first moved here, but I just never followed on it. I miss playing, and it would keep me busy.
Okay. So yeah, that's great. So we're gonna try exercising and looking for a softball league to join, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that sounds like a good start for now. We can definitely keep discussing this in future sessions and, creating more options for you. Okay, Jennifer, we only have a few more minutes left. So what do you think is going to be the most important for you to remember this week from this session?
I realize that I am able to recognize my thoughts and how my thoughts affect my feelings and behaviors. I'm going to remember the thought record because it was most helpful for me, and also because I had to do it for some of the homework. But I really feel that I can become more in control of my thoughts and feelings and can improve them when necessary. I like thinking that I'm doing something right for once.
Yeah, that's great. Being aware of your thoughts is important because then you have the ability to control the feelings and behaviors surrounding those thoughts. So, what did you think about the session today? Is there anything you want us to do differently for next time?
No, it was great. I just hope that I can start feeling this good all the time instead of just after therapy.
Okay. Well, you're doing excellent on the homework assignments, and you're really doing well with the different techniques that, we do together. So those are two positives that you are doing just for yourself. So just keep working on them outside of our sessions. And then if you do, however, find yourself feeling worse before our next session, please don't be afraid to call me and, we can discuss the possibility of you coming in sooner.
I will, thank you.
Not a problem. So, is there anything else for today's session that you want to highlight or discuss?
I just want to say that I really like doing the thought record. It was nice to turn my negative thinking into more rational, positive thinking. I also liked creating different coping strategies for when I get depressed feelings. I never thought of exercising as something that would make me feel better, but I'm definitely going to give it a try. I just hope I don't have any setbacks throughout the week.
Well, everyone has setbacks. That's normal. But even if you have had a bad day, say during the middle of the week or towards the end of the week, you can't take away or ignore the successes that you had at the beginning of the week. So just like we talked about it, earlier today, those are still positives that can be extremely helpful in this, therapeutic process. And I want you to keep journaling the good and not so good days and the thoughts and feelings associated with those days. So keep doing that. You're doing great. And then for the next week, complete another thought record like the one we went over today. I want you to start walking or going for a run a few times a week, and then document your thoughts and feelings on that afterwards. And then try looking into a softball league that you can possibly join. Alright, and then we'll keep discussing this next week.
Alright, that sounds like a great plan. Thank you. See you next week.
Okay, you're welcome. See you then.